Hi guys, I'm back for another one of these like little sit down chit chat things. I don't know what um necessarily this will evolve into, but all I do know for a fact is that I want every episode to be named after, either an album, song, book, movie, or TV show that I feel like it pertains to. Because I think that's just cool and immersive on a different level, and that's kind of what I do with my music. So I might as well just keep that, consistent with everything that I'm doing now. This episode, I wanted to speak about my fear going into all these industries that I want to be in, and my fear of, I guess, the world. I think everyone is fearful of stuff, and I try not to be driven by fear, but it's been hard when we're in a world that is very frightening. But as many of you know, I'm in the modeling industry as well as wanting to get into the music industry and wanting to get into the beauty industry as well. And although I kind of have a glimpse of what music is like, and obviously, I've been in the modeling industry for 4 years now, which is crazy because when I first got signed, it was in the middle of the pandemic and I just didn't know what was going to come of it. But I just, got thrown into the fire, and you know that's been an amazing journey to see where I started off with that versus who I am now in it. Um, but I'm just scared of industries and corporations and politicking and people. And I think there are things that I don't really know the half of that are involved with all of it. But I guess this video, more so as opposed to fear, I think I'm just mostly concerned about how that stuff, you know, affects affects the way that someone can, do their craft. Like, I'm a person who very much just like doesn't like getting into any sort of confrontation unless, someone's doing something where I'm like, bro, what you're doing is messed up. Like, what are you even getting involved with? But I think when money is involved and when business is involved, a lot of really skeevy stuff happens, or a lot of very cutthroat stuff happens. And on a day-to-day basis, I've just been trying to prepare myself for, how I would deal with those things as a person who doesn't even want to go through those things. But I don't think, anyone wants to go through those things. People just, I think the world is crabs in a bucket. It just is. And I always tell people that life reminds me of Mario Kart. Like, being at the top is easier, but once the people behind get to you, it's so hard to get to the front, versus like being in the back is actively difficult. And this is like a weird analogy, but I always say when I'm playing Mario Kart, it's like an analogy for life, because when you're in first place, you're coasting until you make that one mistake or someone gets you with that one item, and then you're like, you go from first to seventh, eighth. Whereas if you're in the back for most of the game, like 10th place, ninth place, it is so hard to get through all those people to get to the first place or to second place even. And I see life very much in that way, which I don't know what, I'm kind of rambling on this because I don't know how to say basically that I'm afraid of my career not only being reliant on my talent or my hard work. And I think in America, especially, this is something that's kind of being taken down as a thought. This idea that, if you work hard, you get this. If you work this way, you get this. And, you can't have this life if you work really hard, put in these hours, meet these people. But I think a lot of people aren't honest about the fact that there's so many other factors outside of that. It's not only about your hard work. It's not only about how well you work. And it's kind of making me sick to my stomach that, there's still some people, especially older generations, that think like that and have that mindset. and try to tell our generation that that's how things are, because we've seen for years these industries be tainted by the person that knows a lot just taking advantage of the person that doesn't know anything but wants a chance. And I think that being a person who wants opportunities allows you to be taken advantage of. And, you know, those people are more, those people are at higher risk of being abused by those people and by those systems, because there's no way to turn back, there's nowhere to go. And so I think that's why we have a lot of situations where people are now coming out about abuse from the past, because people are like, oh, why didn't you tell them this or tell them that or come out sooner or blah blah. But it's like, at that point your life depends on that person. And even with this Quiet on the Set documentary, a lot of the kids and their parents like specified how, if you complain about anything, you're getting written off of a show. Like, you can't put food on the table. And I think this idea of having to subject yourself to abuse and torture and all these things that make you really uncomfortable just to live on a day-to-day basis really scare me. Like, you know you're reliant on a person that knows you're relying on them, or else you can be replaced by someone who will take that heat to do this thing that you want to do. And it's just so sad that your whole thing is either you stand up for yourself and don't get abused and go back to not being as successful, probably not having money to support yourself and survive, or you go through that to maybe get the chance to, in the future, get yourself out of it. And the percentage for the people that do that is really, really low. And that's always been something that concerns me about every industry, every career. And we think that things are getting so progressive and things are changing, and because people are being outed for their behaviors, that things are changing, when really I feel like they're just a devil in a new dress. Like, you know what I mean? I've been seeing it specifically with modeling as of recent, like seeing that pendulum swing from, all this diversity and inclusion going back to how it kind of was before. And, everyone has this mindset that things are changing and we're more accepting and evolving. But even with our country, we're seeing that things are getting a lot more radical. It's either you're this or you're that. Either you are pro this or not pro that. It's very black and white now, and industries are getting back into that. And I may not even be clarifying this or communicating this in an effective way, but guys, having a dog, I'm gonna have to make a video about having a dog. Having a dog has been, I don't know how people have children. I don't know how people have children. Othello? I don't know how people have children. But yeah, I'm just afraid to be in industries that, to me, are run by corruption. And every industry is ran by corruption. It's inevitable, because anything ran by people is ran by corruption. And I just want to always have integrity with myself and with the surroundings that I'm in and for the people around me. So I don't want to ever be put in a situation where, I'm in danger or I'm putting others in danger. And I feel like, I hope every human would be like that, but it's really scary because so many are put in those situations. And I'm trying to say things without saying too much, because I do want to get into these industries. So I don't know if I want to bring up like instances where I've noticed this or seen this, because I don't want to rub people the wrong way when I get to those places, which is another problem I've been having, of like speaking too much. I feel like when, I just don't want to step on any toes, because I never know what rooms I'll be in the future. So I don't want to be saying anything about people or liking tweets, and then people come at me in a few years being like, oh, Maya said this or she said this and did that and was talking about this person, so why is she all up in this person's face? And I hate when stuff like that happens, because it's like, that's terrifying. But I guess to summarize all of this is to just say that I'm terrified of humans. I'm terrified of the world, and I try to have integrity, but what happens when having integrity doesn't get you ahead? What happens when having integrity doesn't get you that dream job? What happens when having integrity doesn't get you those dream earnings, that dream house, that dream? And that's something that I'm really fearful of in my life because we see it so much. Not everything is simple and easy and an easy road, but I just hope that, my personality and my identity can put me in those rooms and kind of, protect me from those things, or that, I can have the eye to see those things before anything occurs or before I have to deal with it um, firsthand. And yeah, that's basically it for this video. This is a weird second episode. I will say this is a weird second episode, but it's genuinely something that I'm concerned about. And we're seeing now more than we're seeing. This is how life has always been. The people that are the worst are ahead. The people that are bad are ahead in life. But, is it worth that versus the massive takedown they get because they're bad behavior? The takedown is massive. When you do bad things, they always come back around. The takedown is Mario Kart. You're in first place, but when that shell hits, the shell hits. The feds are raiding your house. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, people are out to get you, and the pressure's on your day-to-day basis. You're anxious because you have all these skeletons in your closet. So is that worth just being a person who lives a normal life, who's satisfied on a day-to-day basis, but maybe is struggling to, have bills and make ends meet? And, these are just things I think about. So yeah, that's it for this one. I hope this one makes sense. And please leave your comments down below and what you think about this topic, and if you think about this topic, because I would hope it's something that our generation is weary about and tries not to perpetuate in these systems. And maybe I over exaggerate about it and it's not as common as we think it is. But I would love to hear your thoughts on everything that I've spoken about in this video so far. I feel like this has been 13 minutes of me just saying random nonsense that kind of makes sense, but it's like, am I already getting at? But I would love to have a discussion about whether or not you guys think, or what you guys think of this idea that, you have to kind of, I guess this is like the topic of selling your soul in a way. Just like, playing the game until you can get to the point where you don't have to anymore, which I just don't want to do, and I'm never going to do, and I'm not going to have to do it. I'm just going to put that into the universe. I'm not going to have to do that. I just want to live. I don't know what's going on in humanity. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. So, bye.